Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for coming to here on this regular night right here at the Cafe Gallery, right here at Gallery Cabaret. Hi! Hello! Yay! I'm on this high from this week because yesterday we happened to have a bonus show with Francois Leroux, the Hallman of South Africa. He came here with Yoka, and I don't know how to say her last name, and her name is spelled Joke, and I'm like, I got the Yoka, I got that part right. It's Debaere is how you say her, how you spell her last name. But I've already just mastered her first name finally, this girl from. So I'm just like, I'm not going to screw it up. But it was a phenomenal show with music and everything. And some of the people that are here tonight were here last night, like Jerry Pendergast. That was really cool, actually, by the way, hearing him performing stuff with all of these artists that were coming up here doing music. Very, very cool. But I want to thank you all so very much for coming up. We've got two phenomenal features this evening. Not only do we have Lucia Blinn. Give it up for Lucia, yeah! I'm actually triple plus, please, because we've also got Pam Miller. Yeah, give it up for Pam, yeah! We've got the old woman night, yeah, rock out, that's awesome. The thing was, I was like, oh, I'm supposed to read something for tonight. I know, I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I did improv yesterday with the Ha-Man, and what I had done was talk about today's topics, and one of the things I talked about was the Ebola virus. And I heard this morning that the one person that was brought here from that had visited and went to Liberia, I believe, and has been in Texas in isolation, just passed away this morning.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I heard he was okay.
No, he passed away this morning. I hope John's getting the other camera. I don't know what he's doing. So I don't know if we're... I said I would, just for the poem, but thank you.
No, here's your next project, Janet.
What is my
Now
next...
that you've done all the elements, you
Yes.
do all the viruses. Influenza.
Well, influenza, Black Death. But when I heard this morning that this man actually passed away, I said, I have to write something about this. And I didn't know what I would write or what. And I actually, while he drove, I wrote this, and I made it actually very personal. But you can, I guess, infer what it was originally about. This is called 8 to 16. You came back again from one of your trips to the other side of the planet. You know I love you more than anything on earth, but I'm getting used to your absence. It's a terrible thing to say, I'm sorry. But when you came back this time and said you had a fever, I figured you ingested their toxic water and you'd have the stomach flu for days, but then you'd be fine. But this time you had a fever. And I remember how you drank the water swimming south of the equator, and I thought nothing of it. I would just, you would be bad for a week. I would just, it would clear up in a week's time, and I would just hold off on kissing you again. But after 8 days, you went to the doctor, told him your travel and ails. And that's when the doctor called the CDC and the federal agencies swarmed in. After you left for the doctor, the next contact I had was with men in hazmat suits at my door. They asked me if I was alone. They asked me if I had any children. Then they asked me to come with them. I told them I needed to wait for my husband, and they told me that you are now in isolation. After hours, they told me that you caught a virus while you were away on your trip. But I said, oh, wait a minute. He was on a work trip, and his company makes him take tons of drugs so that he's immune and wouldn't catch anything. And that's when they stopped me. right there. They locked me in a room and told me I couldn't leave. And then they said he caught a bad strain while helping a woman he found on the street, bleeding, pregnant, and in pain. It took them 2 days to discover the details before they gave me the bad news. He's in isolation. We're trying new treatments, and hopefully he'll be okay. But I know of this virus. It's usually lethal, so please, let me see him now. So, that's when they said, sorry, it's out of our hands. You must be quarantined now. So I screamed at the medics, all to no avail, as they swore I had to say safe. So I paced in my isolation. I watched the drive-by news, and I heard them say stats that death from this virus comes from 8 up to 16 days. 8 to 16 days. It was 8 days before he even thought of going to the doctor. Was his waiting, is that waiting going to amount to his death? I couldn't talk to him. I couldn't see his face. I couldn't kiss him or tell him I loved him, that I'll always love him, that I'm nothing without him. The morning of the 5th day, trapped in isolation, that's when they told me he died. My blood work was clean, but they kept me in isolation when they said they'd cremate my love. And all I could think was, after you're done, send him to Arlington National Cemetery so the world will know that he is more than just my hero. He's more than just a hero to just me. While you've kept me away till he died. And still, I continue to pace, trapped in this room, alone, with nothing to wait for, ever again. Thank you. That's very depressing. I'm really sorry. That's such a sad. Like, I just wrote that, and I actually read it over once, and I actually was crying. And I'm like, I'm sorry, John, I can't tell you. Well, it's about your death. But it's not about your death. So shush. You'll have to hear it when I read it. So sorry about that. But not because there's anything sad or dormant or depressing, but the first person I remember on the list is somebody that I'm triple plus excited is here because he runs a press, and I believe Ruffled Feathers is going to be starting up again, I believe, or is he eating? Are you eating, my darling? Is Patrick? Yeah. I think that's in there. Are you eating?
He's reading already.
Oh, well. Oh, well, you should be reading up here, my darling, if that's okay with you. I think you might be. So please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Patrick Hurley. Give it up for Patrick.
So, I guess I have to assume Joffrey's role since he's not here.
Yes.
You're never assuming Joffrey's role, my darling. Nobody can replace Joffrey.
How do you feel about Israel?
We won't go there.
Exactly, I won't go there.
Yes.
No reason to go there.
Absolutely.
It's over there. Over there. She said quietly, "It's time to die." She said quietly, just a whisper in the ear. "It's time to die now. Roll left, roll right. There's no escape. It's time now." She said on Tuesday, always on Tuesday, in the morning, before sunrise, after the birds start singing, calling out for the light to come, for warmth to come. "It's time now." She said, "Did you listen? Were you paying attention? It's time," she said. "You just closed your eyes." She said, rocking forward and back. She said, while unwrapping the folds of existence, she said, "It is not here that," she says, wound tightly around a pencil in order to make it right. What, she said, above the treetops and the breeze of life. She said, below the subway, deep tunnel, diamond mine of infernal depth. She said, just yesterday, out the window in the rain, loudly, at the school bus. She said, as the universe expanded to the void. She said, while pigeons relieved themselves of excess weight on the platforms of public transportation trains. She said, next to nothing, nowhere, in the middle of it all. She said, enough to stop traffic in Times Square on Saturday at noon, while all the Kansas City tourists watched with eyes wide and mouths wider. She said, are you ready? For what? She said. Then it all fell into a puddle, evaporated, and was gone. Gone. Just like what she said. So Ruffled Feathers has arisen like the phoenix from the fire. Second Monday of every month, starting next month, at a new venue, Reno, which is an awesome venue. It is on the corner of Kedzie and Milwaukee. The show will be all ages. They have a bar, they have food. No cover, what my show is generally, no cover, no features, no slam, just artists sharing art. I don't have flyers yet. I'm working with the owner, and in 2 weeks I'll have flyers and such. But yes, Ruffled Feathers is alive again. The name's gonna get, and I'll, you can look for me on Facebook, friend me, whatever. If you search for Ruffled Feathers in Facebook, it has a page, and then I'll start posting the stuff every month or whenever the shows are coming, and send out evites. So from Screws Fall Out.
One of your cool chapbooks are made with bags.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes. Water of Life Press print on
Bags.
upcycled paper bags.
Oh, that was so cool.
So, but I haven't a clue what to read. That's what I was trying to do when...
I should probably do with the suggestion, because I didn't say it before, we should probably have 2 per person just so we have room for our features, because we got 2 of them tonight.
Excellent. No Alexander solution for us. Your hair delicately brushed above your ears by soft finger tips. Your hand on me holding tight. I am with you and I am happy. Our demons kept at bay for the evening. We are blessed with equality, humility, humbleness. Wrapped around each other, a knot of flesh, Gordian in complexity. Slowly we dig out the folds and begin to love each other for real. Thank you. I do have books for sale as well.
Thank you, Patrick.
I believe his Mondays do not interfere with waiting for the bus, I think.
They do not.
They do not, because you're the second one, and they do odd Mondays or something.
And the third Monday is cold.
And first Monday will be waiting for the
First
bus.
Monday's for the.
Yeah, the odd Mondays are waiting for the bus, so you've got it all figured out.
No,
You've
it's
got-
not odd Mondays, it's
Or
First,
the first and third and sometimes the fifth.
no more.
first Monday
all
at
gone.
Powell's.
They have a whole new venue.
So they've got that new schedule at Powell's as well?
Yeah, no
Huh?
Jacks, only
No
Powell's.
Jack.
Jack's no mas.
Ah,
But he's got it all figured out, and that's triple plus
it's on his
awesome.
page.
And it's on his page, and that's very, very, very cool. Before I call up my next guy, Danny Boy, I figured it's the beginning of the month, and I release magazines, which I haven't brought the magazines out. They'll come out later.
Okay.
CC&D and Down the Dirt will be out shortly, but I also release sometimes chapbooks that are being released as books, and this is a chapbook that's a 6x9 perfect bound ISBN book that is available from Amazon.com, available for sale in the US as well as the UK and continental Europe, and this one is by Alan Onick. This was originally a chapbook that was done with Down in the Dirt magazine and Major Arcana. It's a bunch of little short stories in this long segue thing, and the first thing talked about a boat. So I said, well, Puget Sound sounds good for a cover, and it's a kind of a groovy. But anyway, it's very, very cool. And if you want to know anything about publishing stuff, you can always bug me or go to Scars Publications at scars.tv, and I will stop talking about scars right now. And because we all have them, don't we? We all have scars, don't we? Anyway, please. Well, I don't know if this guy does, because he's triple plus awesome, and he brought the harmonica, and he was playing with everybody yesterday. So please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Danny Weinberg. Woo! As I call him up, he's like, "Wait, I need to rifle through my book bag first." There he goes. Thanks, Dan.
Will you get in your accordion?
Yeah.
Get an accordion, get new instruments. Why not?
All right. I did this last night. Just a little bit. Thank you. Okay. Ben the barber. Ben Scheinkoff the barber is 95 years old, October 16th. The same day as my birthday and David Ben-Gurion's. Oi gewalt. He drives to work 5 days a week. His hands shake a little and his hearing isn't perfect, but he still cuts hair from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Ben has numbers tattooed on his arm. From fun times in Poland, home of the gentlemen. Ben was born in Plonsk, Poland. Ben is a Cubs fan. He got married in 1950. He has a granddaughter. He has a wife. Oi gewalt. Thank you. Open your mouth. Close your mouth. Close your mouth. You look so stupid. Close your mouth. Catching flies. Close your mouth. Catching moths. Close your mouth. Look intelligent. Close your mouth. Look human. Close your mouth. I have a cold. I can't breathe through my nose. Close your mouth. Look smart. Close your mouth. Thank you. Socks in Yiddish. colorful clown socks, crazy colored socks, red polka dots on black background, cool, funny, alive, oi gewaltig, Boychik, Bubby and Zadie, Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Schmuck, funny comedian, ha ha. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was ready to bolt up there because you read 2, and I was like, what? I'll go. But just for that, I'm going to read something before I call up Bill Yarrow from Exo, because this happens to be CC&D magazine. Approaching front. This whole foggy scene. But anyway, sorry. It seemed to, you see these things? This is an untitled piece by Becky Grush, and I'll explain it when I'm done. A gnarled and naked tree silhouetted against the darkening, dusky air, alone and stiff, bare and cold. Or is it just me? She was a student at the University of Massachusetts, and Becky Grush passed away from cancer at the age of 25. And this was one of the things I got, so I thought I'd share that one. But it's an interesting, and it seems to actually kind of fit with the cover. It's like my goat trees. Is it just me? But now, because I have to make it sound a little bit happier before I call up Bill Yarrow, I'm going to see what money I have. Da 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 da. And put your life savings in this thing, because this handy dandy bag here da 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 is for 2 features. So you should really go in debt for giving money to both of these really awesome people. I'm going to pass this around and say, put something in this because both of these features are really worth it. Trust me, they are. And even though I'm calling up Bill Yarrow, you're putting money in this as well. Mr. Ram, but ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Bill Yarrow.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to read the 2 poems that currently appear in the magazine Janet just held up, Approaching Front, a new issue of CC&D.
Is it in it? Oh, now I have to look and see where they are. That's because I'm being nosy. Because they're right in the front.
In the Chicago part, right?
Yep. I've got frogged and I've got what the translator disappears. The translation withers and dies. Those are the 2 that I've got.
Those weren't the ones online, but okay.
Well, I'm sure it's in. I'm sure it's in. If I get the wrong issue, I'll figure that out. Awesome.
I think I read those last time anyway. This one is called George. Wow, the light's really, really terrible. Okay, George, skinny guy with glasses, sent to Vietnam. Came back with an understanding of heroin, an acquaintance with whorishness, a clarified wife, and a helmet on his soul. His family alive but indifferent, he makes his way back to the ocean, back to the popcorn, back to the pinball machines. Wants to see the boss who had treated him well. Hey, Bob, it's me, George. Kindness is magnetic, but the past is a loose adhesive, and rarely is employment a glue. How nice to see you, George. He hangs around for about an hour, then slinks back to the deserted battlefield he has had tattooed on his future. Thank you. And I'll read a new poem. This one is called Receding Haiku. It just appeared in a magazine called Zen Space. Receding Haiku. Love weaves a perforated web between the spikes of longing. Testy liquor goes to bed next to a nest of wasps. God, in his infinite wisdom, rescinds the free will of dogs. Thank you.
Well, now I'll have to look in the writing section of Scars.tv and see what issues he has, but that's what's in that issue, but we'll figure it out. But I've got a ton of his stuff published throughout the year, so, and I'm sure I published yours, I remember those. But I know that oftentimes some of us around here know that people like Charlie Newman or Joe Rorty would claim the fourth spot as the spot for the asshole, but I'm trying to take that one back because I think it's Mr. Awesome that could be the spot number 4. And you know, people like hearing Charlie Newman and he can be awesome, obviously, so why not? So I say the spot number 4 is going to be for my handy dandy, super ultra sexy, wonderful sidekick, so please give it up for the Bobster himself, Bob Rashkow! Woo!
Clean up tonight. Clean up, man, yeah. Okay. I just want to mention really quick that Chicago Calling Festival is on, as many of you know, Chicago Artists Month in October. And tomorrow night at the Cup and Spoon, is it 2417 West North Avenue?
2415.
2415 West North Avenue. Janet's going to be one of the featured readers at that particular event.
Thanks for me.
And I'm going to be one of the featured readers on Sunday at Powell's for Gertrude Stein and Frank O'Hara.
Very cool.
These 2 poems are specifically for Pam Miller. You've heard the first one already.
Oh dear.
And the second one's not really any kind of a poem, but anyway. For Pam Miller. Take your time. Pronounce each word lovingly. The message to your madness beams clear. How I tickle, tingle, titter at your anger, sour, bitter. That jazz of word assembly, so yours. Your fellow cinema buffs easily ascertain the reasons why you strain to include more titles. But excuse me if I digress again, only to mention in passing, I'm also very tickled to include you as one of my idols. Apologies to Ogden Nash. And Pam and I also happen to be great fans of a band called Procol Harum. And I had originally compiled a series of their lyrics into a sort of found poem.
Oh, wow.
But I lost it. It was one of the casualties of my white drenched bag. So earlier today I put it together. It's not in its original form, but this is for you, Pam. The PH Guide to Euphoria and Euphoric Misery. Doctor, where's your remedy? I'm sore in need of saving grace. Be kind and humor me. Took the wrong bend off the edge. And in case you meet your maker, perhaps you'll plea for us a bit. I'll meet you at the bottom of the sea. There's a lump in my mouth, and it's my own tombstone. I wallowed in my blindness for the sin of self-indulgence. God's aloft, the winds are raging. God's aloft, the winds are cold. Though I hoped for something to find, I can see no place to unwind. Part 2. Fresh fried baby dumpling, loaded, bloated curse. Tonight we dine at Hotel Ritz. Locked her in her cell, hope she never gets well. Who will search for Holy Grail past the edge beyond the pale? Like some Pharisee, he cruised the Spanish Main, and some Arabian oil well impersonates a padded cell. Pygmies held themselves in check. There's so much sea between us. Make me stick like sealing wax. But though you say you're with me, I know that it's not so. The town clock in the market square stands waiting for the hour. My time's been taken, sweet taking my time. Close up the picture, end of the show. Fires which burn brightly, all energy spent. Even my befuddled brain is shining brightly, quite insane. darkness through my being here away from you, I sat me down to write a simple story, which maybe in the end became a song. The ceiling flew away. Speak, reach, juice box, poor relation. Your multilingual business friend has packed her bags and fled. Maybe I'll take an excursion to Spain or buy a revolver and blow out my brain. Ain't gonna ride that whiskey train. Life on fire, blinding sight, Hesperus. In the autumn of my madness, when my hair is turning gray, they say the piper will call the tune. You'll hear his music very soon. I think I hear it now. There's too many women and not enough time. Too many poets and not enough rhyme. Thank you.
That's what I think. The non-rhyming poet, too many poets and not enough rhyme. But I'm like the storyteller. But before I call up another man who is here for the evening yesterday, and it was great hearing Gerry Pendergast doing work with musicians that were going around, I thought, with a title like The Headless Elephant, which makes me think Republicanism right up his alley.
The Republicans are from County Cook or County Derry.
I'm making a joke when I said that one. Trust me. I was going for the humor on that one. This is from Zoe Broome, B-R-O-O-M-E, Zoe Broome. This is The Headless Elephant. He sees a picture online of a headless elephant and cries. Half skull, half silence. He holds the ivory image in his mind, wishing he could have stopped the hunters from his hospital bed. Zoe Broome. Yeah, give it up for CC in the entire room. Thank you. And now I want something louder. Please give it up for Gerry Pendergast. Oh, come on. They're not there.
Conquistador, your stallion.
Yeah.
Speaking of conquistadors, I'm warning you that if you come to Let Them Eat Chocolate on Friday night to hear GPA and Bill Yarrow, I will be doing something that's related to the Columbian contact period and conquistadors and Cologne and colonialism and all that crap.
Drug dealers?
What kind of drugs?
I'm thinking.
A scattered texting trio on an L train. 3 pairs of eyes on smartphones. We are pulling into Rockwell. Someone is arguing with someone about someone's kids. She just ended the call. We're going over the river. Someone next to me is reading a book. We're pulling into Francisco. 3 high school kids just got up. Someone with a gorgeous body just stepped onto the train. Can you see? I'm getting off. Someone is eating fries. Thank you. I mean, I hope you all remember those incidents, because I'm sure that on the day that these happenings occurred on this train between Western and the end of the line at Kimball on what we used to call the Ravenswood L. I mean, I'm sure they were on the news. Dreams of Maria Fernandez. Stars on sidewalk wave. Green, hilly, slopey towns. Hot oil and dough nightmares. Died between Dunkin' donut chain locations in her car used as bed. Thank you.
Thank you. We seem to be doing okay on time, and I would like to tell people, which happens every once in a while in the past, if after the 2 features we have time, we can have open mic again. But I just want to give props to my 2 features. You know what that's all about. So before I call up another sexy woman to come up here on stage, I figured I would read something from Down in the Dirt magazine, because this is a new issue, A Creative Journey. And I like the little train tracks. And I thought she'd get a kick out of the fact that I'm going to read like a 3-liner from Fritz Hamilton.
Oh, Jesus.
And it says, and it's called, Why Line Yourself Up Against the Wall? Because it goes like this. Why line yourself up against the wall? You've been dead and stinking since the beginning, so why waste the bullets? That has nothing to do with everybody here, because everybody has to know the insane mind of Fritz Hamilton. But please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Jenene Ravesloot.
Fritz Hamilton was a lover of mine when I was 25 years of age. And the son of a bitch is still around writing poetry. I'm going to start with The Dog Doesn't Bark Anymore. The dog doesn't bark anymore. He used to bark. He used to bark and bark, but he doesn't bark anymore. I try not to think about that dog. The dog was a real nuisance. He used to bark and bark when he was alone in that dark apartment. He'd bark and bark until whoever owns him came home and let the dog out the back door. The dog never barked then. He would roll on his back and kick his paws in the air. He acted like a puppy until he would suddenly jump up and run back up the stairs. Later, he would begin to bark and bark. The neighbors complained, we all complained. Someone called the landlord. Someone called the cops. The damn dog was a nuisance. Something had to be done. I guess the landlord had a few words with whoever owns that dog. The dog doesn't bark anymore. He never barks. Never. That's what really bothers us now. So we're gonna go from dogs to cats. Woohoo! Wow! Meow! Cats. A feral female cat with bulging pregnant sides, an old gray tomcat with one torn ear and damaged voice box that leaves him miming his meows at 6 a.m. A tortoiseshell tabby cat with crusted eyelids and runny nose whose skinny neck still carries a pink leather collar and the memory of some long ago mistress, a long-haired, once white, odd-eyed Persian cat with matted fur and broken tail. A striped, ginger-colored kitten that balances on the clothesline and hisses as you, before hitting the ground hard and dashing for the white porcelain soup bowls of milk and dumped pieces of bread you've put out, while your mother stands in the kitchen behind the Irish lace curtains because she's afraid of cats and thinks they're sneaky. You begged and begged to feed these strays every morning until your mother relented. Then you poured fresh milk into the soup bowls, your grandmother's best, and placed them on the backyard stoop. You loved to watch the cats eat their breakfast as greedily as you would soon eat yours. You loved their white whiskers and chins dripping with milk. How they neatened themselves, just like good children. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you very much.
I believe, as far as I know, we have one open micer left. If somebody disagrees with me, let me know. But I think I got you all covered. But, you know, if you want to, come and harass me. So before I call up Tom Roby, since Bob mentioned the fact that we've got Chicago Calling, and we happen to have the most Chicago Calling-esque thing, which wasn't Chicago Calling, yesterday, right here, where we had Chicagoans performing with people like from Belgium or South Africa or what. It was awesome. It was time. But Chicago Calling event tomorrow is, for those who don't know me, I have been writing poems for every element in the periodic table. And I usually only introduce them at features, and tomorrow is, with music from the How Man of South Africa, my last feature of things for the periodic table poems. And we've got like a proof copy because I'm a designer, so I'm like, I'm going to start putting this stuff together. It's quite a big ass volume here, the periodic table of poetry. But if anybody's interested in it, I believe there is a Facebook page for it, and as Bowser said before, it is 2415 West North Avenue. Makes you feel like you're in DC when you're saying West North Avenue, because everything is like 2nd Street, Northwest, South, East, West, North. That's the most confusing area to figure out. Why am I saying that? Never mind. Because we actually got our streets right after the Chicago fire, which was an anniversary actually for today. 1891 or 1871? 71? Today. It's today. The anniversary is today since the actual Chicago fire.
Somebody got a match?
Don't burn this place down, because this place is so triple plus awesome, right? So weird little tidbits of everything and nothing, because it really wasn't from Miss O'Leary's cow that did it. It was not, I tell you.
The cow was innocent.
The cow was innocent, I tell you. The cow was framed.
It's still a cold case. It's a cold case.
It's one of those X-Files. If only the X-Files was still running, we might have been able to figure it out. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for the last open micer for the first round before we get a bunch of awesome features. Please give it up for Mr. Tom Roby.
I have a triolet and a limerick for the season coming up. And if I can get the proper light.
Yeah, tell me about the
Do you need more light? Is it something we can fix with
The
the light?
No, there's nothing you can fix. Everything is perfect here. It's my eyes, my eyes. This is a haunted triolet variation. I'm often spooked about ghost dust. Whip it off, it slowly comes back. Ghosts have endurance you can trust. I'm often spooked about ghost dust. Why do they come to do what they must? Can it be due to what we lack? I'm often spooked about ghost dust. Whip it off, it slowly comes back. The limerick is by my arch rival W.H. Auden, and it goes like this. As the poets have mournfully sung, death takes the innocent young. The screamingly funny, the rolling in money, and those who are very well hung. W.H. Auden.
Happy Halloween, everybody!
Hey, Gunther. And speaking of Halloween stuff,
office. No, anything but that.
and speaking of Halloween stuff, we don't happen to have an open mic that is right around Halloween, but our next open mic 2 weeks from now is the closest thing we have, the 22nd or something. I don't have the calendar handy, but it happens to have GPA, the Poet Gun Sub, and Charlie Newman as features. If that's not a spooky collection.
That is a spooky thing.
But I even had suggested to him, because I think on the 18th I'm going to be in Nashville and I'm going to be dressed for Halloween. Thanks to suggestions from Jamie Walton from Waiting for the Bus, I was good, because we had this idea years ago. I was going to go as Justice, so I'm going to have the scales, which will mean it's not much different. I'll just wear a dress and hold scales, or it won't be that exciting. But if anybody wants to do any early sort of weirdo, retardo dress-up thing, you're more than welcome to, is my thought. But I'll talk about features and such later. But I'm going to give a 5-minute break, and then we're going to have a phenomenal feature. I think that the Bobster is going to give it up for Pam Miller first. So keep Tressa busy for the next 5 minutes, and we'll see you in just 5 for great features. Thank you. We're going to have a couple open micers, and because Joffre came here, and he was late, but he's always first in my book, I'm going to give it up for Joffre Stewart first. Give it up for Joffre! Are you ready? Do you need a... I know I didn't give you a prop. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome. Give it up for Joff. Yeah, we're ready to go. Well, I know I normally call people up, blah, blah, blah. So, cool, thanks.
You want to wait till the end of the I'm late because I was at Bizazzian Library for a dedication to a guy, poet named Mayi Obisawa. And we're going to have another one at Weeds next Monday, and I expect I'll read this one at Weeds. At Bizazzian, I read one of his. The title is A World View of my Yi, who also nursed nut cases. As Boko Haram, but deadly serious in northern Nigeria, but not quite so as Ebola, attacks the tradition shelved at 1226 West Ainsley, and where I once hosted Bizazzian Open Mic. Let us remember Obisawa from wherever in northern Nigeria, not only for the grace he could give to lines in this tradition, but for his serious side, contradictory to Boko Haram, by giving me a sawbuck to attend a semi-annual meeting of the National War Tax Resistance Coordinating Committee. A serious side against homicide, privately revealed, now publicly known. From a time he was driving me somewhere, like to the Old Town Ale House, after high and low art, even Burris, Hannibal, doing comedy at Weeds. This cab driver from northern Nigeria could tell me something about the north side when he gave me a lift on the Chicago south side to get away from whites who talked like they owned the world. And I'll end with this one. The title is A Key to a Revision of History. The epigraph is from Sherman Skolnick, who was reported murdered by Mossad 8 years ago last May. Report from anonymous source. New York City firemen, there were bombs in the building. Cyberspaceorbit.com. Crucial info evidence. Explosives toppled WTC. And our key, mentored by Mark 104243, is no relation to Francis Scott Key, another bad guy using the Scott unfree for plantation labor. During that sideshow of the Napoleonic Wars, fueled by Bonaparte, selling the Indians to a Jeffersonian Democrat. Of the I sing of like ilk as Francis, so unworthy of his name, of the I sing. Taken by a Jesuit member of a company formed by circumcised moneylenders to an oddly un-Nazarenic place after Innocent XIV kicked them out for killing popes, and all opposed to that particular liberation theology, still crucified. Even as Obama would not suffer little children, victims of his policies, to come under the veiled shadow of the white supremacized Statue of Liberty, which not so accidentally turns her back on them, of the I sing Moshe El-Makis and Dominic Sutter, trucking in the Thermate and Mini Nukes to do WTC, from which Larry Silverstein got over $7 billion for killing over 2,000 people for Zionist wars facilitated by an Israeli-operated Pentagon, 9/11 with a cordite-made hole falsely flagged for Arabs using a plane that did not exist and could only exist in the mendacious fantasies of a Pearl Harboring media of which I sing.
That was actually cool. Of the I sing, you know, that made me think of today. I was at some bar or something, and there was this. What lines were added to the national anthem in the 1950s? And I'm like, what? Pledge Allegiance. I said the wrong thing. I'm an idiot.
1954.
And you know it. I'm like, under God, I think Eisenhower did because he didn't want to seem like those stupid commies or something like that.
Knights of Columbus lobbied for that.
And then when I actually visited Russia, all I saw were churches. I'm like, so we weren't being like, but there's different times and Beth, and why am I going on about this one? I have to be hearing Gerry Reynolds. So please, my darling, give it up for Gerry Reynolds. Woo!
It's a true Gerry night.
This is also a man that came up for music yesterday, which is triple plus cool. So.
Cool.
It is now the day after the 95th anniversary of my mother's birth. I would say it's my mother's 95th birthday, but she was only born once, and she has been deceased. I did my best for my 4 older brothers by buying them each a shirt and sending a card saying how much I enjoyed the hand-me-downs. This is a hand-me-up for each of you. And I was so surprised to find out that I got an email that included a letter from the most beautiful woman I've ever been inside of. And my brothers and I, a couple of cousins, a couple of second cousins, had been examining this beautiful piece of typewriting, 3 pages of a beautiful wedding that my mother, before she became my father's wife, sent to her cousins overseas. And I will not pull out the piece of paper out of my pocket. I just want to say that a beautiful woman, a woman that I've known as a circuit court judge and has been a lawyer all of my life, I got a chance to see and to look at a very foggy piece of paper presented on an email. So hard to read that those 3 pages were broken down into 6 pages enlarged, but there was 5 pieces of carbon paper in between her and the recipients, so we had to look very foggily. There have been 21 emails back and forth between me and my brothers and my cousins and other people saying, okay, it had to be between VJ Day and the end of the war, it had to be. And my mother explained, before she was my mother, how beautiful the wedding was between Loretta and Steve. She included the costumes, she included a beautiful little story about a small child trying to put an olive onto a spoon and getting it up to his mouth, and his mother explaining, no, you can just use it in your hands. She described herself this way: I am so grateful that I am not sending the picture, because I look like Eleanor Roosevelt trying to eat a tomato through a tennis racket. My mother at 21 was good enough and beautiful enough and sparkling enough to explain what was going on in the United States of America during World War II to inspire me to want to date her. I mean, this is like the most beautiful woman. I only wanted to spend a moment or two telling you how much I love my mother. I want to spend just another couple of seconds saying how many other people are investigating what time during World War II did this happen, who, where, why, how. And I want to compliment my father for being the best motherfucker ever.
Oh, go on, Gerry. You know, he's talking about, and I think I knew this from yesterday because he was actually performing yesterday. I knew that was his mother's birthday yesterday. But he didn't even bother mentioning that today was the anniversary of the Great Chicago Fire. Like, why would he know that? It's not like we're that old that would remember that. But, oh, the other thing I have to say something about astronomy before I close this up with a poem. And that is that it is a full moon today. And it also happens to be a harvest moon. And this morning, like at dawn for us here in this part of the country, there was a lunar eclipse. which you don't expect with the full moon thing, but I happened to be driving him to work, and I saw a lunar eclipse, and it was a little bit hazy and a little bit reddish because it was a harvest moon. I'm like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing ever. And then I saw that it was just a little crescent moon by like 6:35 in the morning, and you probably, if you look out your window or when you're going home tonight, you'll see a very, very full moon, and you can act all crazy. And I just want to share all that stupid stuff with you because, yay, it's a full moon, we can act stupid. But at the beginning of the evening, I read a poem I wrote on my way here it was about the Ebola virus, but it was about the death of my husband, which is really bad. So I thought I would read something nice to end out the evening. And this is something that appears in the current issue of CC&D magazine, which just came out, Approaching Front. If it looks all grainy, that's because it's a foggy sky, for those of you who can't see it. But this is a poem called Depth of Field. And I wonder if he's even paying attention, because this is for you. This is for you. Depth of Field. When I looked for you at the crowded train station, the masses grew dense as I craned my neck until I saw your head emerging from the sea. Suddenly, I couldn't escape you. You seemed so crystal clear in that crazed commuter crowd, because everything blurred away as my focus grew sharper on you, perfectly framed in my depth of field. To this day, when I see you outside coming toward me, I first see you at a distance, but when I see you, it seems that everything about you comes sharply into focus, and everything else in the world fades into the background. You don't know this, but when we face each other, seated for a meal, I sometimes stare at your temples, or maybe the space under your earlobe. I just look. At times like these, I want to capture every inch, every minute detail of you, store it in my memory, so I can have that sharp image of you always in my mind. What a mellow way to end the evening. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you will all show up in just 2 weeks for a great double feature night with GPA, the Poetic Unsub, and Charlie Newman. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in just a few weeks. Thank you. Thank you.
And Friday night.
I didn't even talk about tomorrow night. I'm featuring blah, blah, blah.
Oh, really?
But, what? Oh my god, yeah.
That's right.
And then GPA is doing the thing and Billy Yarrow is not one of the he's one of the features, isn't he?
Right, Yarrow and GPA.
Oh my god, they're both of them. That's why he was saying, hey, do you want to go? Maybe we should. Well, maybe we should. It'll be a busy week for us, but hopefully we'll see you there. Hopefully I will see you very soon. Thank you.
Yep.